MMO company and publisher Krafton is acquiring Last Epoch, one of the best ARPGs right now. And people are very scared for the future of this game, especially after the entire drama with Subnautica 2 and how Krafton sabotaged that game. But is Last Epoch's fate just sealed because of this acquisition, or is there some hope? And could this even be a good thing for Last Epoch's future? I went through the entire history of all of Krafton's games and also all of their dramas to see what's actually gonna happen, or at least what's most likely to happen. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning, and let's get into it. Let's first talk about their statement. Today, I'm excited to announce that 11th Hour Games is joining Krafton, powerhouse behind PUBG, who shares our passion of the action RPG genre and is ready to help fuel our efforts in rising Last Epoch to new heights. With this partnership, we will have the opportunity and resource to execute on our goal to creating the very best ARPG in the genre. After speaking with dozens of potential strategic partners, Krafton clearly demonstrated that they are aligned in helping us achieve our goals and can both enable and guide us through some of the largest upcoming challenges we'll face as a studio. This partnership will allow us to deliver things we've only dreamt on previously, and I am excited to share details on those at a later date. Now, it is important to note that this doesn't mean that Krafton owns Last Epoch. It doesn't own 11th Hour Games. It means that they're their publisher. They'll give them money for them to continuously develop their game, and of course they'll take a little bit of money themselves. Now, I'm not really sure if they actually have been successful at being a publisher, but you know, that doesn't mean that it'll be a complete disaster. Not now, at least. This sentiment is forwarded by the game director, who also made this post here in the comments. Resources and industry guidance mostly, that's what Krafton is here for. Krafton isn't looking to change us. We went out seeking a partner, and they were the most aligned in the mission of enabling us. Developing these games are way more expensive than most people think, with 100 heads, server expenses, tooling, etc. This is very positive for the team and the franchise future. They said the same thing about Unknown Worlds, and they fired their founders. This is of course the entire drama that happened with Subnautica 2 and Krafton firing their founders after acquiring it. The then gave director's response: "We're aware of the situation with Unknown Worlds. I don't want to comment on it directly, but after understanding it more deeply, it isn't something that concerns us entering into the partnership at all. There's plenty of misinformation or personally informed parties talking to that situation. I appreciate the concern for us, though." Now, I'm not gonna lie, that statement is a little bit worrying to me, because I think it's very hard to not see the whole Krafton situation as completely their fault. Or at the very least, heavily worrying. And I'm not saying that they're being tricked by the company, but I don't know. It's very scary. For the LDR of the entire Krafton and Subnautica situation, essentially there was a $250 million bonus if they finished Subnautica 2 in 2025. And it seems like as soon as Krafton got a bit more power on the company, they not only started sabotaging their own game so they wouldn't be ready, but also fired the leads of the game to make it even harder to happen, and of course them not having to give them the 250 million. Now, this is obviously the narrative of the people who were let go, them saying like they were working on the game and the only reason why they got fired, they got let go, was in order to not pay this $250 million to the developers. But according to Krafton, it's completely the opposite, and indeed these leads were not working on the game. They didn't care about it. There were no other projects, and that's why they were let go. There's a lot of he said, she said over here in this situation, but I think it's very hard to not side on the side of Subnautica's lead when Krafton themselves allegedly said that a $250 million bonus would be catastrophic for the entirety of the company. It also doesn't help with their narrative when they literally force the leads of Subnautica to release the Calypso protocol before it was ready, just to get more money. Oh, but I'm sure that Subnautica 2... No, that one, they want the game to be better. That's what they're delaying it, guys. There's way more to the story, so I heavily recommend you to go check out Velular's video on it, where he explains everything about it. But realistically, Krafton, doesn't have the best track record. But the game director does seem pretty confident. You can see here in this question, can I ask what growth you're looking for, as I can't see any passion from Krafton in the ARPG market. It seems that they're focusing entirely on gacha games and other than the Underworld drama, the Subnautica drama. What have they brought to the table other than money that you thought would be a good for the game? Good question. Our biggest goal was to find someone that didn't want to change us in any large way. We would be able to financially secure the team's growth, had experience bringing games to larger markets and different platforms. And in general, we're on the up and up. I don't know how much I should say about them, about some of the cool things that they're working on internally that interest me, but I believe that they're going to be able to help us take Last Epoch to another level. And when we need assistance or guidance, they'll be able to provide it. It also is worth noting that sometimes you just get along well with the people and the leadership teams. And I generally enjoyed spending time with them and where their heads are on the games. That did count for something as well. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe this time they're actually gonna do something good. But it's a bit hard to believe. I will give the game director the benefit of the doubt, as you know, he obviously cares about the game. But let's talk about more on what Krafton has done. They made Terra, which obviously died. They did PUBG, which is a very, very important game in the industry. They made Alien, who died too, and these other random games. Honestly, the only good game that they have been able to develop or publish was indeed PUBG Battlegrounds. And I'm not sure if the servers and all the situation with hackers have been the best in that game either. And after watching the entirety of Death of a Game Terra and Death of a Game Alien, I'm not sure if I can give them the benefit of the doubt in them being good developers or even publishers for that matter. At the end of the day, it'll all depend on how involved this company is in the development of Last Epoch. Will Last Epoch actually have some influence by them, or will they just stay there, publish the game, and not really care? At the end of the day, guys, I'm not gonna lie, publishers usually get blamed for a lot. When sometimes it's not really their fault, it's the developer's fault for making a bad video game. Just think about Destiny 2 and all of the blame that Activision Blizzard had for being part of that game, for being the publisher of the game. And, well, Bungie was like, no, guys, if we get out of here, we're gonna be able to make the game that you truly want. And as soon as they got out of that deal, nothing really happened. It was the same as always. And you could even argue that it's been worse ever since. The same thing happened with Black Desert and Kakao Games. Yeah, Kakao Games was the publisher, and yeah, the game was pay to win, but after Kakao Games left, it's not the game was, just stopped being pay to win. I guess it was less for a little bit, but let's be real, the game is still pay to win. It's the same game and nothing really has changed. The publishers end up being a scapegoat for bad development, and, well, that could be definitely what's happening here. I'm not saying Last Epoch is being developed badly, but if something goes wrong, it might not even be the fault of the publisher. It is very, very scary though, and I really don't want Last Epoch to become worse because of this change. I think this post here really gets you to the correct mental space for what you should be thinking for this. There are two outcomes of this. This game is able to make a bigger patches more often, and we benefit with an even better game. The game becomes horrible. If the game becomes horrible, we just stop playing. It's that simple. But until then, there's no need to be a doomer about it. I think it's completely fine to be scared. And I don't think you should be pre-ordering anything or buying supporter packs or anything like this. And you should definitely make peace with the fact that this game might actually become horrible. That should be in your mind. That should be something that could happen, and you should be okay with it. But at the same time, there's no reason not to play the game if you enjoy it. And especially because, well, if it ever goes bad, you still want the memories of the good game that you had. And you don't want to lose that either. I'm still hopeful, and I really, really want this game to do well. And I really don't want this game to have happened to what other games have happened to them. I don't want the leads to get fired. I don't want the game to be pay to win, especially because it's an ARPG. That would be insane. I want Last Epoch in the way that is, just better. So, we'll have to see. And I do have a lot of confidence in the leads of this project. That being said, I do think it's very important for the leads of this project to actually make a statement. Hey, we put these safe measures in the contract with Krafton, so we have the power over how the game is. This is exactly how PoE did it when they partnered with Tencent a company that obviously has a lot of pay-to-win games. So if you do it in the correct manner, you can do it. But it is 11-hour games, less Epoch Elite's responsibility to tell us that and to show us that they have been careful about this. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not gonna be super hopeful and super confident. That being said, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this new season comes and how this impacts everyone. I hope the game does well, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content, like everybody here. Soydalian, Miragon, Trader Boys, Tilt, Seawix, Double, Question Marks, Say, Noggin, J Mongus, and Mind Bowen. See you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.